Hello everybody. The chapter begins with Arthur breaking out from the heavens into lions, asking people if with holy wars they have not asked loved ones, people do not accept their words. But Arthur shows an illusion of lost loved ones, of people of lions gained confidence of some. Just at that moment Tristan arrives to confer it and it attacks him. But Meliodas arrives, who is now the king of lions, with the mythical full counter after an ardor discussion, and Meliodas exchange blows capable of destroying mountains. Citizens are concerned about getting involved in the fight, but Tristan stays and goes to the fight, but he is easily defeated and Meliodas saves him. They argue and Tristan begins to suffer for his power, and Meliodas helps him and Arthur attacks them from behind. But in an epic moment, Lancelot arrives and saves them. Lancelot, in a blink, the fight begins and does a lot of damage to Arthur. He attacks him and Lancelot dodges his attacks, but Lancelot without anyone knowing how he shot down Arthur. But Arthur manages to stand up and effectively attack Lancelot by making Meliodas have to help him, but it was no use. As Arthur already active in the chaos that is in his right arm, Arthur says that chaos only protects him as a host who is unconsciously, that is, he has no relation to his will. For that reason, Lancelot could not foresee that attack. Meliodas regrets not having separated the chaos of Arthur in the last holy war, and just at that moment Lancelot stands up as if nothing had happened, and tells Arthur that he knows nothing about him, and with his enormous magical power frightens Arthur. And at that moment the Knights of Chaos arrive with the main enemy of both of them. And when Arthur decided to go Lancelot in less than a blink, he pierces his heart with his arm, but it had no effect because Arthur and the knights simply vanished. But before leaving, he said to eradicate the 4 horsemen from the apocalypse. Then we went from scene to one of Percival with his friends, wondering that he is Camelot, and because Arthur was incomprehensible, Percival in the fight was of no use, thus concluding the chapter. Chapter 2 begins with Lancelot talking to a strange call Thetis, and she leaves after saying that I do not understand her feelings, and Lancelot replies that she does not train hers either. Tristan trains hard because she feels useless when she cannot help the previous combat at all. I never thought to his friends they went to see Meliodas and they met Elizabeth, who thanks them for their effort defending the kingdom, and then Meliodas appears and we realize that the girlfriend of Percival believed that Meliodas looked like in the writings and was disappointed for that. After a Percival talk on orders from Meliodas, he has to say goodbye to his friends since he is one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. But after an emotional moment, Meliodas says that they are confusing and then names friends as sacred knights. They get angry with Meliodas for being wrong in their way of speaking, but they are happy that they do not have to separate from Percival. Then we went from the scene to a room where the horsemen of the apocalypse and their groups are gathered. And at the meeting they talk about the 4 having to destroy Camelot and Arthur. Then Thetis, the magician, shows everyone what Camelot looks like, after Arthur took it to another dimension little by little. And Tristan asks Meliodas how he knows he is leaving little by little, and he knows that from the Percival grandfather, who was a gentleman, sacred, that he wanted chaos. His Aeliodes tried to finish it, but he fled. Along with Percival and Meliodas, he found them and helped. But Thetis says that there is no way to get to Camelot since Jericho killed all the prisoners with the mark that Arthur gives to access Camelot. Tristan says he believes the only way to get to Camelot is to wait for the Chaos Knights to attack them first in order to capture them. But Lugo, a member of the Tricitan group, says they are all useless, except Tristan, and Percival laughs, saying he wants to travel, explore, and defeat Arthur. Thus concluding chapter 2. The chapter begins with Percival talking to his friend about wanting to go on an adventure with everyone, but she declines, explaining that she needs to help Meliodas with new clothes and equipment. She expresses surprise that Meliodas is a king despite being a demon, to which Percival responds that it's no big deal since it's Meliodas. However, she doubts this, and Percival adds that if he were a demon, she would hate him. She disagrees, saying she wouldn't because he is himself. Percival hugs her from behind, making her blush. She pushes him away, but secretly appreciates that Percival behaves this way only with her. From a distance, someone is seen watching them. Next, we move to Tristan, who is talking to Isolde, who is in love with him. She tells him not to do anything reckless again, as her heart nearly exploded during their last battle. Tristan rejects her feelings, stating that he sees everyone as his comrades, and wants to be with them the way the 7 deadly sins were united. Then we see Lancelot, who is with his beloved, a girl about 1 meter tall, and they too are being watched by someone. Lancelot waits for his girl, who has changed clothes, and surprises him. Lancelot asks how she knew everything that was happening, realizing that she can foresee the future. She admits that she can see it perfectly, including conversations and details. She tells Lancelot that she saw a future she didn't want to see, where something bad happens to him, and she breaks down in tears. They continue talking, and she mentions that his existence has always supported her. She always wished to meet him one day, and now that they've finally met, she says that even if something bad happens, she feels she can endure it because she has him. Lancelot is confused, and she changes the subject before they part ways. As the girl leaves, she encounters the person who was following them. It turns out to be Ironside of Camelot, and she agrees to go with him. Lancelot senses something is wrong and quickly goes after her, but she telepathically tells him not to worry, assuring him they will see each other again because she cannot change the course of destiny. The scene shifts to Meliodas, who is talking to Gawain. She asks him if he truly believes she will fight against King Arthur as a knight of the prophecy. She also reveals that she is the daughter of Arthur's brother-in-law and says she has no reason to take their side. Meliodas replies that she must have her reasons for coming. She states that she could betray them at any moment but will act as a knight of the prophecy for now. Their conversation ends, and Meliodas gathers everyone into 2 groups, saying that Camelot's attacks will increase. He announces that Percival and Gawain's team will head north, Tristan's team will go south, and Lancelot will go alone to the east. They bid farewell, and the chapter ends. Hello everyone, the chapter starts with Ironside telling the girl that it's natural for her to be surprised by the landscape. She tells him that from that moment on, she will go alone. Ironside is surprised that she knows the landscape, and he offers to help her, but she refuses, saying that she will die in her son's arms. With that phrase, Ironside lets her go alone. The girl finds a door and decides to enter. She performs a spell that teleports her to Arthur, who is with Merlin. Then we see Ironside, who upon arriving home, finds his son and tells him not to worry about anything, that he will be with him and protect him. At that moment, we see that Ironside decided to go with his son to Camelot, to live the illusion that nothing will happen to his son because of the illness he has. Then we see Arthur talking to his fiancée, Lancelot's girl. She tells Arthur that all she wants from him is his prophetic ability. The girl ignores her and tries to speak with Merlin, but Merlin does not respond, and Arthur attacks her because that Merlin was just an illusion. After a conversation, she tells Arthur what will happen in the near future. She says that Lancelot will defeat 2 of the 4 knights, and Arthur decides to send soldiers for backup, ignoring the fact that changing destiny comes with a high price. Next, we see the group of the 4 horsemen, who have arrived at their destination. Everyone is surprised by the construction and the markings on the walls. They all arrive at a town where there's a festival. They go in search of a place to stay, and they find one, but they are unsure whether to stay because there are not many rooms available. Percival and his companion leave to explore, and then they all play rock, paper, scissors to see who will get the rooms. Tristan ends up with a beautiful girl, and Percival, a companion of Tristan, and Lancelot end up together. Lancelot is on high alert for whatever may happen. The girls pair up and decide to go to the festival, but they are being watched by the Knights of Chaos. Then we see the other boys reaffirming their friendship. Later, we see Tristan buttoning the girl's shirt when the others interrupt them, and they all head to the festival. Meanwhile, the Knights of Chaos prepare to attack, thus ending the episode. Hello everyone, the chapter begins with Tristan talking to the girl, telling her that he already knows who she is because she called him Prince when they first met. She explains the reason behind the festival, and the group prays for their deceased loved ones. They soon notice that Tristan is no longer with them, as he has wandered off to pray alongside the girl. The others go searching for them, but Lancelot and Gawain stay behind. Gawain uses her magical ability to remove the magic blockade at Lancelot's request, as he has a bad feeling. Everyone feels the magical power surge, and the barrier blocking magic reappears. The girl then reveals to Tristan that she is the one creating the magic barrier with her abilities. She unveils her true identity as a demon and attacks Tristan, overwhelming him in battle. The group tries to help, but they cannot hear Tristan's voice or communicate due to the magic of one of the Chaos Knights. Meanwhile, the girls encounter Jade and are ambushed by an archer, who they manage to dodge just in time. The archer turns out to be another Chaos Knight, who uses her magic to control small animals in the environment to her advantage. Jade uses his darkness magic to obscure the archer's vision, allowing them to escape. However, the archer pursues them, but Isolde's magic explodes, enabling their escape. Back with Percival and the others, they are being defeated. Percival attempts to use his healing magic, but the Chaos Knight quickly attacks him. The others retaliate, but Percival appears to be knocked out. Meanwhile, Tristan is still battling the girl. Despite being severely injured, his angelic power allows him to regenerate, and he strikes back. The girl, realizing she cannot win, surrenders and entrusts Tristan with the task of defeating Arthur. In the final scenes, Lancelot and Gawain locate the enemies, and Percival awakens, auto-regenerating. The mage controlling animals appears again, but Nassians neutralizes her with a single blow, ending the chapter. The chapter begins with the group debating whether to search for the others, but they decide against it. Then we see Tristan asking someone to remove the barrier, but they refuse, fearing that Arthur will hear. The serpent's venom severely weakens Isolde, but Jade helps by sucking out the poison. At that moment, the sound fades, and the bald Chaos Knight appears, attacking Jade and the others brutally. Just as the knight is about to strike Isolde, Jade intervenes, but the magic in Isolde's arm, which had touched the bald knight, causes an explosion that defeats him. However, Jade is pierced in the process. The bald knight survives, and Aang uses his magic to destroy him. Percival arrives and tries to heal Jade, but he can only close his wounds, not revive him. As the Chaos Knights almost escape, Qian intercepts them with his magic, summoning a giant phoenix of fire that disintegrates them. We then see Lancelot and Gawain easily defeating their opponents, leaving the demon girl in disbelief. Lancelot warns her that if they had attacked his friends during the festival, he would have shown no mercy, ending the chapter. The next chapter begins with the group arguing about what happened with Jade. Percival tells them to stop fighting, as Jade wouldn't have wanted that. They cease their quarrel and interrogate a Chaos Knight, forcing her to open the door. She complies but explodes due to a spell from Arthur. A girl warns Arthur not to keep defying fate or worse things will happen, but Arthur laughs and demands to know the future. The prophecy reveals that 6 assassins will be sent. 2 will flee, and 4 will perish. Arthur decides to proceed, leaving Ironside to select the assassins. One of them is Arthur's brother-in-law, who accepts the mission after receiving a message from Ironside. The group bids farewell to Jade, and Io, the demon, appears to provide information on how to reach Camelot. Meanwhile, the 6 assassins await the group's arrival, but instead, guided by the demon girl, they reach the gates of the underworld, their intended destination. As they descend, Gawain warns of 2 problems. The underworld's miasma causes hallucinations for non-demonic races, but Tristan uses his archangel magic to create a light cloak to counter it. The second issue is the hostility of demons toward other races. A messenger informs the demon king, Zeldris, of intruders entering the underworld. Zeldris orders that they be brought before him, ending the chapter. The next chapter begins with the group marveling at the underworld. Percival recalls a memory involving someone named Zeld. Suddenly, they are expelled from the hole and surrounded by demons. Percival's group is taken to Zeldris's castle, where his overwhelming magical power dominates the atmosphere. Percival recognizes Zeldris and feels happy to see him, and the feeling is mutual. However, Tristan and Lancelot's group runs into trouble due to Tristan being half-goddess. The demon girl mentions Percival, resolving the issue. Percival tells Zeldris about how his father, Ironside, tried to kill him just as he had done to his grandfather. Zeldris remarks that this isn't unusual, as he experienced the same. He encourages Percival to feel proud of how strong he has become. When asked what they want, Percival explains they need to reach Camelot quickly. However, Percival realizes he is missing something crucial: his sword, the final piece of the coffin of eternal darkness. The other fragments are in Camelot's possession, and if they acquire Percival's piece, it will be catastrophic. Zeldris orders all demons to help search for the sword. The group goes with Zeldris to understand the situation and expresses disappointment at Percival's carelessness. Meanwhile, they wonder where Gawain is, as he seems to have been separated after they fell into the hole. Later, we see Percival, who appears to have found his weapon. It turns out they encountered one of the 6 assassins who had been defeated by Gawain. Gawain had infiltrated the enemy by pretending to be one of them. Gawain challenges all the assassins at once, ending the chapter. The chapter begins with Gawain fighting all the assassins and casting a spell on 4 of them, slowing them down until they can no longer move. The leader, Mortlock, asks her to return to Camelot and apologize to the king, but Gawain refuses, saying they do not have the answers she seeks. However, neither do the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but at least they do not live in an illusion and have their own unanswered questions, just like her. She is then knocked out. Meanwhile, Percival heals the fallen assassin, who finds Percival's sword and vanishes, mocking him, which saddens Percival. Zeldris speaks with the group, explaining that it is impossible to reach Camelot because the gate is located somewhere on Behemoth's back, and it's impossible to survive the journey. Percival arrives, and they explain the situation to him. Zeldris recounts that 16 years ago, after defeating the Demon King, Behemoth awoke, and its negative energy affected the demons. On that very day, Percival appeared in the underworld and saved everyone by putting Behemoth to sleep. Percival interrupts and apologizes to everyone, telling them about his sword. The others are trying to find ways to locate the assassins, but Percival states they are not strong enough to face them. Lancelot decides to make everyone much stronger in just 1 week. The female assassin returns to her group, saying she was lucky to get away with only scratches. She can't stop thinking about Percival and decides not to mention the sword. The assassins plan to eliminate Percival to destroy the prophecy. Lancelot assigns missions to each member, and Percival must face him without magic, only with the sword. Lancelot takes the form of a Chaos Knight he saw in Percival's memories, imitating even his speech. Percival manages to land a hit, completing level 1. Lancelot then moves to level 2, giving him a brutal beating, ending the chapter. The next chapter starts with Percival's training under Lancelot. Percival cannot land a single hit because Lancelot is imitating the bald Chaos Knight who defeated Jade. Then we see Nassians running, and Aang joins his training, asking if something happened with Percival. Nassians recounts what happened with the assassin. We then see Tristan, who is challenged by the Demon King's assistant, Zeldris, to test his strength. Zeldris brutally defeats Tristan, but Tristan regenerates and activates his demonic power, turning the fight around. However, the assistant unleashes his full power, delivering a crushing blow that completely defeats Tristan. Aang later faints from his own magical power. The others arrive and see Percival battered from his training with Lancelot. Tristan is depressed over his defeat. A day passes, and Percival is back, training with Lancelot, still taking beatings at level 2. Suddenly, Percival absorbs a surge of power, hope from the demons who see him as their savior. He creates a mini-clone of himself and manages to hit Lancelot, sending him flying, ending the chapter. The chapter begins with Percival talking to his clone, Zarura Ndu, who says they are part of the Great Ones. Lancelot interrupts, stating level 2 is complete, and level 3 begins. After an exchange of attacks, Percival's clone lands another hit, advancing him to level 4, Ironside. The clone hands Percival the sword to face Ironside, who is actually Lancelot. Lancelot doesn't mind fighting 2-on-1. Percival's clone fuses with him, making him incredibly powerful. A week passes, and Percival bids farewell to Zeldris. Aang says he completed the training, but Donnie claims it was impossible. They depart, piloting a giant demon. Above them, the assassins are waiting to strike. Inside, the group speculates they are near, as Behemoth would be visible due to its massive size. Percival's clone appears, saying they are already on Behemoth's back. At that moment, Lancelot and Percival's clone sense the assassin's presence. Using Albion, the giant demon, they attack their own position. The assassins barely survive, and Camelot's beast counterattacks Albion. Lancelot, excited, declares it a worthy rival. Percival uses Albion's attack to incinerate the beast, but it defeats Albion, cutting it in half. Lancelot uses his bow and arrow to take down the beast, but Albion falls. The group prepares to face the assassins, who threaten to invoke Gawain if they do not descend. Everyone descends, but Percival is transported to another world. There, he speaks with his clone, who reveals that the voice he hears asking for help belongs to the people of the demon world who have placed their hope in him. The clone reveals Percival is a spirit of life, the one who gives life to all races. The chapter ends. The next chapter starts with the demon world experiencing its most intense earthquake. Lancelot notices something is wrong with Percival. Inside Percival, his clone explains that he lost his memories by convincing himself he is human. Percival refuses to believe this and calms the mass of voices pleading for help, reassuring them that he will save them. Percival awakens, calming Behemoth, and the mist disperses, revealing the gate to Camelot. One of the assassins quickly attacks the group, but Lancelot deflects the blow. The assassin takes Lancelot away. Percival is challenged to a duel by the leader, while the female assassin who helped Percival returns his sword. Percival and the leader are transported to a hall for their duel, while the others face the assassins. The female assassin uses her magic to fuse demons into a giant, powerful demon. Lancelot fights a samurai who discards his armor, finding it cumbersome. Finally, Percival manages to stop his opponent's attack, ending the chapter.